reaching from Icons Wanted. Right now we are at Chumley's, New York City, in Manhattan, in the West Village. I'm not sure if you've been following me the entire time, but I filmed this years ago in 2009 or 10 when it was closed. Not sure how to describe this to you, but this is a complete legend that has now come back to life. This is a speakeasy, formerly from the 1920s. Hemingway, you know my favorite. Fitzgerald, my second favorite. And Zelda used to hang out in this little area right here. I'm sorry you're getting on camera. Fitzgerald used to hang out here. And his wife, because it was more seclusive. Somehow I have people who love me, and we've come back here now that it's just opened in 2016. We are lucky enough to be with Jim DePola, whose family from Italy to New York to Palm Springs back to New York City, and we are going to find out a lovely hidden fact story about Chumley's. Jim, thank you so much. As you know, this is already a dream. Please tell us your story.
What I wanted to share with you is a story of Simone de Beauvoir, who came to Chumley's in 1948.
1948.
She came, left Jean Paul in Paris, came to New York on a book tour. She came to New York and approached her friends and said, you know, one of the things I want to see when I'm in New York is I want to see Harlem. So they set her up with...
And this is 1948.
1948.
Which is interesting because Harlem was fairly new, because in the 1920s, 1900s, 20th Street was uptown. So that was incredibly uptown.
Right. Very uptown. And so they got her in contact with Richard Wright, who was a Chumley patron, and he was part of the Harlem Renaissance as well.
Harlem Renaissance.
Took her up to Harlem, and she absolutely loved it. He said, boy, if you love this, I can show you a place down in the village.
In Greenwich Village.
He says, but if I show you this place, you'll have to promise that you'll never write about it.
That was the key about Chumley's, never write about it.
So, he brought her here, and then she writes in her diary.
Okay, same.
That she came to this place down in the village, a small little restaurant bar. She could sit all day and eat. She wasn't disturbed. She could drink, she could read. The bartenders or the waiters never bothered her.
No one bothered her
at all. And she loved the place because of that. It reminded her of places in Paris. So, but when she goes home, she publishes her diary. So
exactly what he asked her not to do.
But if you read the diary, you see that she mentions a place, and she gives the street, Bedford, but not the address.
Interesting.
And she calls the place Chandler's.
So she was discreet.
She was discreet. Right. Now, not completely, because the tour then went to Chicago. And this is what I wanted to share with you. So she's in Chicago, and she meets a writer by the name of Nelson Aldrin. You can see his picture up above the light.
Nelson
Aldrin.
Okay. Is it the one smoking the cigarette?
The one smoking the cigarette.
Do you see it right there? It's the one smoking a cigarette.
So, she meets him and has an affair.
Okay.
Okay. So, they come to Chumley's when she's ready to leave and to send her off to Paris. And when he tries to follow immediately to find her again, he can't get a passport. He's an undesirable. So he's unable to get there. So eventually he does get the passport years later. But by the time he gets there, he finds her, but he's disenchanted.
Really?
Yes. But they had the affair. Now, what I did is I have him in the bar because he basically drank more than she did. And I have her in the main dining room where she sat.
Okay.
Okay. And if you look over there to the book jackets again, you'll see Day for Day in America next to his book, Walk on the Wild Side.
Okay.
So I have them together. At least they're book jackets.
So somehow you brought them together. This love story from New York to Paris. I mean, it's interesting though, because she was so fabulous how she sounded that he was just enchanted But in the end, their souls are together by both jackets.
At Chumley.
At Chumley.
Excuse me?
Thank you for
That's
sharing
the
that.
beauty of the history of Chumley.
That
The
is
human
beauty,
side.
the human side. And that's what makes history so amazing, is when you can relate to it. And like we were saying, it's not just a building, it's the stories that happen inside of it. And again, we're at Chumley's in New York City in West Village. And the most interesting story you told me earlier on top of this one is that you weren't supposed to write about it. So writers didn't have time to write the stories they wanted. They had to produce the stories that they had to produce to make their $12 rent in the West Village during the 1940s?
19 teens.
19 teens, so over 100 years ago. And they had to write the stories they had to, and they decided to put this restaurant and bar that they hung out in, which was Chumley's, brought tons of tourists to this town, this area, which we all do today. And then it became overpopulated, and this was kind of the only spot that they could come to and write to in their living room, so to speak, because nobody would bother them. As such, a speakeasy, there was a door that they couldn't find, and it was kind of a secret hidden spot. And it still has that charm, and you're here to give us unbelievable information, and I thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing that story. This is truly a remarkable experience. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you don't find Chumley's, but I secretly hope you do. West Village, New York City, thank you so much.